The night sky over Earth shimmered with countless stars, a sight that had inspired poets and dreamers for centuries. But on this particular evening, something was different. In the quiet town of Flagstaff, Arizona, Daniel Carter sat in the dimly lit control room of a small observatory. His eyes were glued to the telescope as he adjusted its focus, trying to get a clearer view of an unusual cluster of lights moving across the sky. At first, he thought it might be a glitch in the equipment or perhaps a meteor shower. But as he zoomed in, his heart began to race. The lights weren't random. They were organized, forming precise patterns that no natural phenomenon could explain. Daniel leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. He had been working long hours, but this wasn't exhaustion playing tricks on him. Something massive was out there, and it was heading straight for Earth. Without wasting another second, he picked up his phone and dialed Rachel Monroe, a fellow scientist who often collaborated with him on space-related projects. "Rachel," he said when she answered, his voice tight with urgency, "you need to see this. Now." Rachel lived just 15 minutes away, and within 20 minutes, she was sitting beside Daniel in the observatory. Her sharp eyes scanned the data on the screen as Daniel explained what he had seen. She didn't say much at first, her mind racing to process the implications. Finally, she spoke. "This can't be right," she murmured, though her tone suggested she already believed it was. Together, they ran additional scans, cross-referencing their findings with other observatories around the world. By dawn, the truth was undeniable. A fleet of alien ships, hundreds, maybe thousands of them, was approaching Earth. Word spread quickly. By mid-morning, news outlets were broadcasting reports about unidentified objects hovering above major cities. People stepped outside, staring up at the skies in awe and fear. The ships were enormous, their metallic surfaces glinting in the sunlight. They seemed almost alive, pulsating faintly with a soft blue glow. Governments scrambled to respond, issuing statements urging calm while secretly preparing for the worst. Military jets took to the skies, circling the mysterious vessels, but the aliens made no aggressive moves. Not yet. In Washington, D.C., Laura Bennett sat in a crowded conference room, surrounded by officials from various agencies. As a liaison between scientists and government leaders, she had been called in to help make sense of the situation. She listened intently as experts debated possible explanations. Some argued the fleet might be explorers, curious about humanity. Others feared they were conquerors, here to claim Earth's resources. Laura knew one thing for certain. Time was running out. Whatever these beings wanted, they would reveal it soon enough. Back in Arizona, Daniel and Rachel worked tirelessly to gather more information. They analyzed the ship's movements, trying to predict their next step. But the aliens' technology was far beyond anything humans had ever encountered. Just as frustration began to set in, Daniel noticed something strange. One of the ships emitted a faint signal, a pattern of pulses that repeated every few seconds. "It's like they're trying to communicate," he said, excitement creeping into his voice. Rachel nodded, jotting down notes. If they could decode the message, they might have a chance to understand the aliens' intentions. As the day turned into night, the world held its breath. Streets were eerily quiet, save for the hum of distant engines and the occasional murmur of nervous crowds. No one knew what tomorrow would bring. For now, all anyone could do was wait and hope that humanity wasn't facing the end of its story. The next morning, the world woke up to an event that would change everything. At exactly 6:03 a.m., every television, radio, and smartphone screen flickered to life. It didn't matter if the device was turned off or not. The message came through anyway. There were no words, at least not in any language anyone recognized. Instead, people saw a series of vivid images flash before their eyes. A planet, lush and green, spun peacefully in space. Then came fire, raging flames consuming forests, oceans boiling away, cities crumbling into dust. The final image was the most unsettling. a symbol etched against a black void, resembling a jagged circle with lines radiating outward like cracks. For many, the experience wasn't just visual. Along with the images came emotions so strong they felt almost physical. Fear, pain, anger, and finally, dominance. It was as though the aliens weren't just showing humanity what they had done to other planets, but forcing them to feel it too. When the transmission ended, a robotic voice spoke in broken English. Earth has been marked. Daniel and Rachel watched the broadcast from the observatory, their faces pale. Marked for what? Rachel whispered, her voice trembling. Daniel didn't answer. He couldn't. All he could think about was the sheer scale of what they were facing. Whoever, or whatever, these beings were, they clearly considered themselves superior, and Earth, for reasons unknown, was now on their list. Laura Bennett received a call moments after the message ended. She was needed in an emergency meeting at the White House. As she hurried down the hallway, her mind raced. What did the aliens want? Why send such a cryptic warning instead of attacking outright? More importantly, how could humanity respond? When she entered the conference room, the tension was palpable. Officials argued over the meaning of the message, some suggesting it was a bluff, while others believed it signaled imminent invasion. Amidst the chaos, Laura thought of Daniel and Rachel. If anyone could decode the aliens' intentions, it was them. She excused herself and called Daniel. "We need answers," she said bluntly. "Can you figure out what that symbol means?" Back in Arizona, Daniel and Rachel got to work immediately. They replayed the transmission countless times, analyzing every detail. The symbol reminded Rachel of ancient hieroglyphs she'd studied during her college years. After hours of research, she found something intriguing. A similar design appeared in carvings discovered on a distant moon decades ago. Those carvings belonged to a long-extinct civilization, wiped out under mysterious circumstances. "This can't be a coincidence," Rachel said, pointing to the screen. Daniel nodded grimly. Whatever the symbol represented, it wasn't good news for Earth. But there was still one piece of the puzzle missing. Why Earth? What made this planet special to the aliens? As night fell, Daniel decided to dig deeper. Using data collected from deep space probes, he searched for patterns in the movements of the alien fleet. What he found sent chills down his spine. The fleet had passed through several star systems in the past century, each time leaving behind barren planets devoid of life. It was clear now. They weren't explorers. They were harvesters, targeting worlds rich in resources and destroying anything that stood in their way. Rachel joined him in front of the computer, her expression grave. "If we're going to survive this, we need to warn everyone," she said. "But how do we fight something like this?" Daniel sighed, running a hand through his messy hair. "We don't know if fighting is even an option," he admitted. "But maybe understanding them is our best shot." By midnight, they had compiled their findings into a report and sent it to Laura. Within hours, the information reached top decision-makers around the globe. For the first time, humanity faced a common enemy, one that came from beyond the stars. Fear gripped the hearts of billions, but beneath that fear lay a flicker of determination. If Earth was marked, then humanity would have to find a way to unmark itself, or face the same fate as the civilizations that came before. The days that followed the alien transmission were a blur of activity. Governments around the world worked tirelessly to prepare for whatever might come next. Military bases buzzed with activity as troops trained for scenarios no one truly understood. Scientists pored over data, searching for clues about the invaders. In Arizona, Daniel and Rachel continued their research, determined to uncover more about the mysterious fleet. They knew time was running out, but they also knew that understanding the enemy was key to surviving. One evening, while reviewing old space probe footage, Daniel noticed something unusual. A small planet in a distant star system showed signs of having been stripped bare, its surface scarred and barren, its atmosphere completely gone. The timing matched the movements of the alien fleet. "Look at this," he said, pointing to the screen. Rachel leaned closer, her brow furrowing as she studied the images. It was clear that the aliens had been there, harvesting resources until nothing was left. "This isn't just about Earth," Rachel said softly. "They've done this before, maybe dozens of times." Her voice carried a mix of dread and determination. If humanity wanted to avoid the same fate, they needed to act quickly. Daniel nodded, his mind racing. "We need to find out what makes Earth valuable to them," he said. He pulled up another set of data, this time focusing on Earth's mineral composition. What he discovered shocked him. Earth wasn't just rich in water or oxygen. It contained rare elements highly sought after for advanced technology. Elements like lithium, cobalt, and even traces of exotic materials found deep within the planet's core. These were resources the aliens likely viewed as essential for their survival or conquest. Rachel scribbled notes furiously, her thoughts aligning with Daniel's. That symbol from the message. "It's not just a warning," she said. "It's a claim. They're marking us as their next target." Laura Bennett received their findings the next morning. Sitting in her office in Washington, D.C., she read through the report with growing unease. The implications were staggering. Earth wasn't chosen randomly. It was selected because of its wealth of resources. And if the aliens' past behavior was any indication, they wouldn't leave until they had taken everything. Laura knew she had to share this information with world leaders immediately. She arranged an emergency briefing, where Daniel and Rachel presented their findings via video call. As they explained the aliens' likely motives, the room fell silent. No one wanted to believe it, but the evidence was undeniable. Humanity was dealing with a force far beyond its comprehension, one that saw Earth not as a home for living beings, but as a resource to be exploited. After the meeting, Laura approached Daniel and Rachel privately. "What do we do now?" she asked, her voice steady but tinged with desperation. "How do we fight something like this?" Daniel hesitated before answering. "We don't know if fighting is even possible," he admitted. "But maybe we can use their own technology against them." He went on to explain that fragments of alien tech have been recovered during previous encounters with unidentified objects in space. Though damaged, these pieces could hold the key to developing weapons capable of defending Earth. Rachel agreed, adding, "If we can reverse engineer their technology, we might stand a chance. But we'll need help, and fast." Laura didn't waste any time. She contacted Jack Dawson, a former military pilot turned aerospace engineer who had experience working with experimental aircraft. Jack listened intently as Laura explained the situation, his expression unreadable at first. When she finished, he gave a slow nod. "I'm in," he said simply, "but we'll need more than just me." Together, they assembled a team of engineers, scientists, and technicians. Working around the clock, they began analyzing the alien fragments, piecing together theories about how the technology functioned. Progress was slow, and frustrations ran high, but everyone understood the stakes. This wasn't just about saving Earth. It was about ensuring the survival of the human race. As the days passed, the alien fleet drew closer. News outlets reported sightings of ships hovering above major cities, their presence a constant reminder of the looming threat. People prayed, protested, and prepared for the worst. But in secret labs and hidden facilities, a small group of individuals refused to give up hope. They believed that even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity still had a chance, if only they could unlock the secrets of the stars. The weeks that followed were a race against time. While the alien fleet continued its slow but steady approach, humanity prepared for what seemed like the inevitable. War. Military forces around the world mobilized, positioning weapons and troops in strategic locations. But deep down, everyone knew traditional methods wouldn't be enough. The aliens' technology was far beyond anything Earth had ever encountered. Guns, missiles, and tanks might as well have been sticks and stones against their advanced ships. In a secret underground facility outside of Houston, Texas, Jack Dawson led a team of engineers working tirelessly on Daniel's idea. They called it Project Sentinel, a bold attempt to reverse engineer fragments of alien tech into a weapon capable of defending Earth. Jack spent long hours poring over schematics and testing theories, his hands stained with grease and his mind focused on one goal: making sure humanity had a fighting chance. Emma Hayes, an astronaut known for her calm demeanor under pressure, joined the project after being recruited by Laura Bennett. Her experience with space missions made her invaluable, especially when it came to understanding how alien technology might operate in different environments. Together, she and Jack became the heart of the operation, pushing the team to work faster and smarter. Progress was slow at first. The alien fragments were damaged, their inner workings nearly impossible to decipher. But then Rachel Monroe discovered something critical. By analyzing energy patterns emitted by the fragments, she identified a unique frequency that seemed to power the devices. "If we can replicate this frequency," she explained during a late-night meeting, "we might be able to disrupt their systems." Daniel nodded enthusiastically. "It's like finding a weak spot," he added. "If we hit them with the right kind of interference, it could disable their ships, or at least slow them down." With renewed determination, the team set to work building a prototype weapon based on Rachel's discovery. Days turned into nights as they tested and retested their designs. Failures were frequent, but each setback brought them closer to success. Finally, after weeks of effort, they completed the first version of the weapon, a sleek device mounted on a modified fighter jet. It wasn't perfect, but it was ready for a trial run. Meanwhile, tensions rose globally. Reports surfaced of smaller alien vessels scouting coastal regions, scanning cities, and probing defenses. People lived in constant fear, unsure if the attack would come tomorrow or tonight. Governments urged citizens to stay calm, but panic spread like wildfire. Stores were emptied of supplies and streets filled with protests demanding answers. Then, without warning, the aliens struck. A remote military base in Siberia became the target of a devastating assault. Alien beams of light rained down from the sky, obliterating buildings and melting steel within seconds. Thousands of soldiers perished before anyone could react. The destruction sent shockwaves across the globe, leaving humanity shaken to its core. Amidst the chaos, Laura contacted Jack and Emma. "We need to act now," she said firmly. "Test the weapon. Prove it works." Without hesitation, Jack climbed into the cockpit of the experimental jet, with Emma coordinating from a nearby control center. As they took off, the weight of responsibility pressed heavily on both of them. This wasn't just a test, it was humanity's last hope. Flying over the Pacific Ocean, Jack spotted a lone alien scout ship hovering above the water. He activated the weapon, aiming carefully. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a burst of energy shot out, striking the alien vessel. Its glowing surface flickered, destabilizing. Within seconds, the ship plummeted into the ocean, creating a massive splash visible for miles. Back at the facility, cheers erupted as news of the successful test reached the team. It was a small victory, but it proved one thing: the aliens weren't invincible. Humanity had a chance, if only a slim one, to fight back. Exhausted but hopeful, Jack and Emma returned to base, knowing their work was far from over. The real battle was yet to come. The success of the weapon test gave humanity a glimmer of hope, but it also came with a sobering realization. The aliens wouldn't back down easily. The destruction of one scout ship was a small victory, but the main fleet remained an overwhelming force. With thousands of alien vessels still advancing toward Earth, the stakes were higher than ever. Governments and military leaders scrambled to produce more versions of the weapon, knowing that time was running out. In Houston, Jack Dawson and Emma Hayes worked around the clock to refine the prototype. They knew the first version wasn't perfect. It required precise targeting and had limited range, but it was a start. Engineers across the globe collaborated to mass-produce the weapon, installing it on fighter jets, drones, and even naval ships. Every branch of the military prepared for what they hoped would be a coordinated defense against the invaders. Laura Bennett, acting as the liaison between scientists and world leaders, pushed for a bold plan. "We need to take the fight to them," she argued during a high-level meeting. "If we wait for them to attack us here, we'll lose everything." Her suggestion was met with hesitation. Attacking such a powerful enemy was risky, but Laura insisted it was necessary. She proposed using decoy satellites to lure part of the alien fleet away from Earth, creating an opportunity for a surprise counterattack. The plan was approved, and preparations began immediately. A team of pilots, led by Jack and Emma, volunteered for the dangerous mission. Their target was Titan, one of Saturn's moons, where the decoy satellites would draw the aliens into a trap. It was a long journey, and no one could guarantee their safe return. But Jack and Emma understood the importance of the mission. If they succeeded, they might buy humanity enough time to prepare for a larger-scale defense. As the team launched into space aboard modified spacecraft equipped with the new weapons, Daniel and Rachel monitored their progress from Earth. Using data from telescopes and probes, they provided real-time updates on the alien fleet's movements. The tension in the control room was palpable. Everyone knew this was humanity's best chance, and possibly its last. When the team reached Titan, they deployed the decoy satellites, which emitted signals mimicking Earth's energy patterns. The plan worked. A portion of the alien fleet broke formation, heading straight for the moon. Jack and Emma waited patiently, hidden behind Titan's rocky terrain, until the aliens were within range. The battle began without warning. Alien ships descended upon Titan, firing beams of light that illuminated the dark surface. Jack and Emma's squadron launched their attack, using the new weapons to disrupt the alien systems. Explosions lit up the sky as several enemy vessels fell victim to the energy bursts. Despite the chaos, the human pilots fought with precision, relying on teamwork and strategy to hold their ground. Emma's calm voice guided the team through the skirmish. "Stay focused," she said over the comms. "Target their engines. We can't let them regroup." Jack obeyed her instructions, weaving his ship through the battlefield and taking out one alien vessel after another. The odds were stacked against them, but their determination never wavered. Though outnumbered, the humans managed to disable several key ships before retreating. As they sped away from Titan, Jack glanced back at the wreckage left behind. For the first time, he allowed himself a moment of pride. They had done it. They had struck a blow against the invaders. Back on Earth, news of the victory spread quickly. People celebrated the triumph, however small it might have been. But Daniel and Rachel knew better than to get too hopeful. The alien fleet was still intact, and the real battle was yet to come. Still, the mission proved something important. Humanity wasn't powerless. With ingenuity, courage, and a little luck, they might just stand a chance. As Jack and Emma returned to Earth, battered but alive, they prepared for the next phase of the war. The aliens had shown they could be hurt, and that knowledge gave humanity a fighting spirit it desperately needed. The road ahead would be difficult, but for now, hope burned brighter than ever. The victory at Titan gave humanity a much-needed boost, but it also came with a heavy cost. Several pilots didn't make it back, and the surviving team returned to Earth physically and emotionally drained. Jack Dawson and Emma Hayes were hailed as heroes, but neither of them felt like celebrating. They knew the alien fleet was still out there, growing closer with each passing day. The battle at Titan had only delayed the inevitable. In the days that followed, world leaders met to discuss their next move. Laura Bennett stood in front of a crowded room, her voice steady but firm. "We've proven we can hurt them," she said, "but we can't keep fighting like this forever. If we want to survive, we need to try something else, something unexpected." Her suggestion was risky: diplomacy. Instead of continuing to fight, humanity would attempt to communicate directly with the aliens. It was a long shot, but Daniel Carter and Rachel Monroe believed it was worth trying. Using the same emotional language embedded in the aliens' initial transmission, They crafted a message of peace. The goal was simple: show the aliens that humans were intelligent, capable of coexisting, and willing to negotiate. The challenge was delivering the message. No one knew how the aliens would react, or if they'd even listen. After much debate, it was decided that a small team would venture into space to meet the alien fleet. Jack and Emma volunteered immediately, knowing the mission could mean life or death. Daniel and Rachel joined them, determined to ensure the message was delivered correctly. Together, they boarded a heavily modified shuttle equipped with the latest communication technology. As the shuttle approached the alien flagship, the tension inside was unbearable. The massive vessel loomed ahead, its surface shimmering with an eerie glow. None of them had ever seen anything so alien and so intimidating. Jack piloted the shuttle carefully, following strict instructions not to make any sudden moves. When they finally came within range, they activated the communication device, broadcasting their message repeatedly. For what felt like hours, there was no response. Just as doubt began to creep in, the shuttle shuddered slightly. A beam of light enveloped the craft, pulling it toward the flagship. Jack gripped the controls tightly, his knuckles white. "Hold on," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. The shuttle entered the alien ship's docking bay, where it was surrounded by towering figures clad in metallic armor. Their presence was overwhelming, radiating both power and menace. Daniel and Rachel exchanged nervous glances as they stepped out of the shuttle. The aliens didn't speak, at least not in words, but their body language conveyed authority. One figure, taller and more imposing than the others, approached the group. This, they assumed, was the leader. Rachel activated the communication device again, projecting images of Earth alongside symbols of peace. She hoped the aliens would understand their intentions. The leader studied the display for several moments before responding. Through the device, the humans received a series of emotions, curiosity mixed with caution. Then, unexpectedly, the leader gestured for them to follow. They were led deeper into the ship, past rows of advanced machinery and glowing panels. The air was thick with energy, making it hard to breathe. Finally, they reached a large chamber where the leader stopped and turned to face them. Using the same emotional language, it sent a message. "Why do you resist?" Rachel hesitated before responding. "Because we want to live," she said through the device. "We're not your enemies." The leader paused, as if considering her words. Then it made a decision. The humans were escorted back to their shuttle and released. As they flew away, they realized something incredible. The aliens hadn't attacked them. For the first time, there was a chance, however slim, that peace might be possible. Back on Earth, the news brought cautious optimism. Humanity wasn't safe yet, but for the first time since the aliens arrived, there was hope. The return of the shuttle to Earth was met with both relief and disbelief. Jack Dawson, Emma Hayes, Daniel Carter, and Rachel Monroe were greeted as heroes, but their faces showed no signs of triumph. They had faced the aliens and survived, but the experience left them uneasy. The leader's question, "Why do you resist?" still echoed in their minds. It wasn't a threat or a demand. It was almost as if the aliens didn't understand why humanity would fight back. Laura Bennett listened intently as the team recounted every detail of their encounter. She knew the aliens' curiosity could work in humanity's favor, but she also understood the risks. "This isn't over," she said firmly. "They're still out there, and we don't know what they'll do next." Daniel and Rachel spent hours analyzing the emotional exchange during the meeting. They believed the aliens weren't just conquerors. They were explorers, driven by a need to gather resources, but also by a desire to understand other species. "If we can show them that we're worth more alive than dead," Rachel suggested, "maybe we can avoid further conflict." World leaders debated the next steps. Some argued for continuing to prepare for war, while others pushed for diplomacy. In the end, a compromise was reached. Humanity would send another message to the alien fleet, this time offering a formal proposal. Earth would share some of its resources in exchange for peace and cooperation. It was a risky move. Giving up anything to the invaders felt like surrender, but it might be the only way to prevent total annihilation. With Laura's guidance, Daniel and Rachel worked on crafting the new message. They used the same emotional language, emphasizing humanity's creativity, resilience, and willingness to coexist. The message included images of Earth's diverse landscapes, its bustling cities, and its people working together. It was designed to show the aliens that humans were more than just a source of resources. They were intelligent beings capable of contributing to the universe. Jack and Emma volunteered once again to deliver the message. This time, they boarded a larger spacecraft equipped with advanced communication tools and defensive systems. As they approached the alien fleet, the tension was palpable. Would the aliens accept their offer, or would they see it as a sign of weakness? When they entered the flagship, the towering leader awaited them. Its presence was even more imposing up close, exuding an aura of power that made everyone feel small. Rachel stepped forward, activating the communication device. The message played, filling the chamber with vivid images and emotions. For several long moments, the leader stood motionless, absorbing the information. Then something unexpected happened. The leader responded, not with hostility, but with curiosity. Through the device, it sent a series of questions. What do you seek? Why do you value life? Rachel hesitated before answering. We seek to live, she said, and we value life because it's precious. Every being has the right to exist. The leader paused, as if considering her words. Then it gestured toward a nearby screen, projecting a map of Earth. Using symbols, it indicated specific areas rich in resources. It seemed to be suggesting a compromise. Earth would allow limited access to these regions in exchange for peace. Jack and Emma exchanged glances, unsure how to respond. Was this a fair deal, or was it a trap? Before they could decide, the leader added one final condition. Humanity must agree to cease all acts of aggression against the alien fleet. If the terms were accepted, they would leave Earth's cities untouched. Back on Earth, the proposal sparked heated debates. Some saw it as a chance to save billions of lives, while others viewed it as surrendering to an enemy. Ultimately, the decision was made to accept the terms. Humanity had no choice. It was either this or face destruction. As the agreement was finalized, Jack and Emma returned to Earth, exhausted but hopeful. The aliens began withdrawing from urban areas, focusing instead on the designated resource zones. For now, the threat of immediate invasion had passed, but as Daniel looked up at the stars, he couldn't shake the feeling that this fragile peace might not last forever. The days that followed the agreement were a mix of relief and unease. The alien fleet, true to its word, withdrew from Earth's cities and focused on the designated resource zones. Mining operations began in remote areas, with massive alien machines extracting minerals and other materials. Humanity watched cautiously, unsure if this was truly the end of the conflict or just a temporary pause. While the skies above major cities cleared, the presence of the invaders lingered like a shadow over the planet. Laura Bennett worked tirelessly to ensure the terms of the agreement were upheld. She coordinated with governments worldwide to monitor the aliens' activities, making sure they didn't overstep their boundaries. At the same time, she pushed for humanity to prepare for the future. This peace might not last. She warned during a meeting with world leaders. We need to learn from them, study their technology, understand their motives. If we don't, we'll always be at their mercy. Daniel Carter and Rachel Monroe took her words to heart. They spent long hours analyzing data collected from the aliens' operations, searching for patterns or weaknesses. Though the invaders had agreed to leave Earth's population alone, their technology remained a mystery and a potential threat. Daniel often found himself staring at the glowing symbols on his computer screen, wondering what secrets they held. If we can figure out how their ships work, he told Rachel one evening, we might have a way to protect ourselves if things go wrong. Meanwhile, Jack Dawson and Emma Hayes struggled to adjust to life after their mission. They were hailed as heroes, but the weight of what they'd experienced stayed with them. Jack couldn't shake the image of the alien leader, the towering figure exuding both power and curiosity. "They're not just here to take our stuff," he said to Emma one night. "They're studying us, learning about us. I just hope we're ready for whatever comes next." Emma nodded, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "We've bought ourselves some time," she replied. "But you're right, this isn't over." As weeks turned into months, humanity began to rebuild. Cities damaged by earlier attacks were repaired, and people slowly returned to their daily lives. Yet the scars of the invasion remained visible, in the empty stretches of land now controlled by the aliens, in the stories shared by survivors, and in the quiet fear that lingered in everyone's hearts. Children drew pictures of alien ships in school, while adults debated whether the agreement was a victory or a defeat. In secret labs around the world, scientists continued working on reverse engineering alien technology. Progress was slow, but every breakthrough brought new possibilities. One day, Rachel discovered something intriguing: a fragment of code embedded in the aliens' communication signals. It seemed to hint at a larger network, perhaps a way to track their movements across the galaxy. "If we can crack this," she told Daniel excitedly, "we might be able to predict where they'll go next." But even as humanity advanced, questions lingered. Why had the aliens agreed to negotiate? Was it genuine curiosity, or was there another motive behind their actions? And most importantly, would they honor their promise, or return one day to take more? For now, Earth was safe, the skies were clear, and life went on. But Daniel often found himself gazing at the stars, wondering about the vastness of space and the civilizations that called it home. He knew humanity had been given a second chance, a rare opportunity to prove itself worthy of survival. Whether they could rise to the challenge remained to be seen. As the sun set over the Arizona desert, casting long shadows across the observatory, Daniel felt a strange mix of hope and uncertainty. The aliens might have marked Earth once, but humanity had fought back, not just with weapons, but with courage and ingenuity. For now, peace had been achieved. But deep down, Daniel knew the universe was full of mysteries and dangers that no one could fully predict.